All right, Coach, we'll start with King Frazier. I know he missed some time this spring with the knee injuries back in camp. How's his health, and what do you look for him to be like this fall?
Yeah, his health is good. I think his learning curve is excellent. King's done a nice job. Actually, this is about the time that we missed him, leaving spring. So we're seeing him on some of our base schemes now finally. And, he's a big load. And when he gets going, when he can get out and open up his gate, he's tough to deal with. Really happy being able to coach him.
I know you weren't here last year, but, Chase Morlock played as a true freshman. What was his offseason like? What was his summer like? And, what stands out to you about Chase?
No, that he's a much better player than he was in spring with all the injuries, that he was dealing with. I learned in spring he was tough. He's a bison. Now I'm starting to find out he's a talented kid. He's really doing a good job. I think him and King are definitely in a battle. And I've said it, I don't like setting 1, 2, and 3. We kind of know John's a good player. Chase Morlock's done a heck of a job, and he's a kid that what I'm finding is really, really reliable with a lot of things, and that's important.
It's early, but the depth chart came out with Chase at 2. Things
Yeah.
are still kind of changing between he and King, you would say?
Well, I think it's just an ongoing battle, and I look at it very similar to going back a little bit on you guys when DJ and Voigtlander were redshirt freshmen. They kind of went back and forth, and the touches kind of, whoever's hot, and we'll try to get them both in there early. When Spell and John, and you kind of ride the wave. They know the drill. We love to be able to run the ball good enough that we get 40 carries a game.
Mm-hmm. You said the offensive terminology and philosophy wouldn't change much when you got here in December. Is that still the case, and has that been proven in camp so far?
Yeah, I think, as of right now, it don't look like we're going to run the quarterback a whole lot. If you ask me in a couple years or whatever, philosophy-wise, I would love to have that be a part of what we're doing. I don't know if we'll have that ability, but terminology and scheme and philosophy is really pretty similar. We changed our mission statement so it fit me a little bit more in my personality in comparison to Coach Vegan, but otherwise we're rolling full steam ahead.
Gotcha. Do you think it'll be hard for fans to be patient with Carson Wentz because he's been talked about for so long and because he has so much talent?
Yeah, I think, like anything else in this town, with success comes a great amount of support, high expectations. Our expectations are every bit as high game one as we would have for Brock Jensen going into game one last year. And I have the ability to say that now after seeing him for 3 days. He is ultra sharp, and we'll find out if he can get it done on third down and get it done in the red zone, because those are going to be the situations that matter the most.
Gotcha. What else have you seen from him? The throws that he's making are being talked about every day after practice, it seems. What type of throws are you seeing from him?
Well, you're just seeing him make some throws that are uncommon at the college level, to be honest with you. Randy, we have terminology. He threw a 2-ball today, 48, 50 yards. You're talking about a ball that's on a pretty good line. He's got a big arm. He's got all the skills. He's got all the talent in the world. Whether he can put it together and do it on third down in the red zone is going to remain the question. But it's a throw here or there every day that makes you go ooh and ah, that gets you pretty excited.
Is that what he brings to the table that Bison fans might not have seen in the past? That type of arm strength and that type of...
He's got a little bit better arm than Brock, but I think Brock proved that he had a good enough arm to throw to the field, to make the tight throws down in the red zone, those kind of things. I think potentially, to a bird's eye view, to a fan, you might not see a whole lot of difference, except for just the sharpness and the quickness that he'll play maybe a little faster.
What type of weapon, as a coordinator, is Zach Vrock for you?
Yeah. Zach on the backside of our formations and all that, we know he can do that. We're trying to find out what he can't do, actually. We're trying to move that chess piece around and find out, and what I'm finding is I don't know that there's anything that limits us mentally at all. He's a competitive kid. He's smart. He's a lot faster than people give him credit for. He's tough. He is a super, super good football player.
Gotcha. Is there any, not talk, but have you moved him into the slot? Have you tried to move him around? You mentioned
just as much as we can to be able to hide them or disguise them so people can't roll coverage to them, so they can't. The word double team is overused in football. That don't happen as much as people think, but rolling a coverage to a guy or pushing a coverage to a guy or having an underneath cover guy be able to push to him. We got to try to find a way to make sure that he touches the ball X amount of times for our offense to continue to move forward. And I think the more guys that can touch it, the better. But the more our playmakers catch it in space or run the ball in space, the better we'll be.
Gotcha. What's the transition to OC been like for you? I know you haven't had to call a game yet, but what do you anticipate the next 3 weeks being like for you?
Oh, it's been so far so good. I mean, I really like the part of being out in front of a group, being able to lead a group of guys, being able to work with a bunch of coaches that kind of are looking for you for some leadership. It's obviously it's a little bit more time, but before I had the special teams, and I don't know that it's necessarily going to be as much or more time than that, so it really hasn't been a whole lot different. I take a peek daily at a different position group. I take a peek daily, at a scheme or look at something maybe I wouldn't have before when I had the running backs. So we're continuing to work through it. I really like where we're at game plan-wise for Iowa State. That whole process has been good to go through as well. So we're close. I mean, there's some unknowns with them, and there's some unknowns with us yet too, so we're not all set.
Gotcha. With the loss of 24 seniors, new coaching staff, the Bison are still the preseason favorite in the Valley and the number one team in the country in the coaches poll. What does that say about NDSU and specifically this football program?
Country respects us. I think, and it's well-deserved. I think the seniors have deserved that. I think us as a coaching staff have enough pieces to be respected. But it really doesn't say anything about how good we're going to be. You got to go out there daily and try to win your individual battle. You got to try to win every individual drill, every team setting. And I think right now we're, probably 2-1 on offense in my mind, and the defense would probably say the same thing. So we're happy to have that just from the standpoint of, you won 3 national championships and you're back to play another season, obviously. But we all know it doesn't mean a whole lot. Our kids are grounded and our coaching staff is grounded. And we understand there's a big job to do. And that starts with winning tomorrow and then Iowa State on that first Saturday.
Thanks a lot, Coach.
Thank you. Appreciate you guys.
No problem, man.